All right, let's talk about one of the smartest and honestly, simplest ways to get into investing. We're going to break down something called an index fund. Ready? Let's jump right in.
So you've definitely been there. You turn on the TV, and some reporter says, the market hit a new high today. And you're kind of left wondering, what market? What does that even mean? Is that like every stock in the world? It's a super common question, and the answer is way less complicated than it sounds.
Most of the time, they're just talking about an index. The best way to picture it is like a scorecard for the stock market. It's not tracking every single player, that'd be crazy. It just follows a specific group, like the 500 biggest companies in the US, to give you a quick snapshot of how the game is going.
So if that scorecard is what everyone's watching, what if you could just buy the scorecard itself? Instead of trying to guess which players are going to do well, you could just bet on the whole team's performance. And here's the cool part, you totally can.
And that's exactly what an index fund is. It's the tool that lets you invest in that entire scorecard, all in one shot.
So here's the official breakdown. An index fund, whether it's a mutual fund or an ETF, has one single job, to copy a market index. That's it. It's not trying to be a hero and beat the market. If the S&P 500 goes up 1%, the fund is designed to go up 1% too. It's really that straightforward.
And this really gets to the heart of it. On one side, you have these passive index funds. They're on autopilot, just following a formula to match the market. On the other side, you have actively managed funds. That's where you have a team of pros trying to outsmart everyone and pick winning stocks. And all that brain power, well, it costs money, which means much higher fees for you.
So why is everyone from brand new investors to Wall Street veterans so into this simple, passive idea? Well, it really just boils down to four huge advantages.
It's really these four things. The returns have been historically solid. You get instant diversification. I mean, you own a piece of hundreds of companies at once, which is way less risky than betting on just one or two. And then there's the real knockout punch, those incredibly low costs.
And when we say attractive returns, what does that actually look like? Well, historically, the S&P 500 has returned an average of about 10% a year. Now that's over the long haul. Some years are down, some are way up, but over time, that average is an incredibly powerful engine for growth.
Okay, so the concept sounds pretty good, right? But it's not like there's just one kind of index fund. You actually get to choose which scorecard you want to follow. Let's run through some of the big ones.
You've got the S&P 500. That's the big one. The NASDAQ, which is loaded with tech companies. The Dow Jones, tracking 30 massive household name businesses. You could look at the Russell 2000 if you want to invest in smaller companies. Or, hey, if you can't decide, you can just grab a total stock market fund and get a little piece of pretty much everything.
Okay, now check this out. Here are three different funds that all do the exact same thing. They track the S&P 500. Now look at their returns over 5 years. See how they're almost identical? Makes sense, right? But now, look at that expense ratio column. See that difference? That is where your choice really matters.
Which brings us to what is, without a doubt, the most important number to look at when you're choosing a fund. Getting this one little thing right can literally save you tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime of investing.
It all comes down to this simple truth. If different funds are designed to do the exact same thing, their performance is going to be nearly identical. So the biggest thing you can actually control is how much you pay. Keeping your costs low is the name of the game.
And that cost is called the expense ratio. It's just a tiny percentage fee that the fund charges you every year. You don't even write a check for it, it's just taken out automatically from your returns. But trust me, that little fee can have a huge impact over time.
So just how low can that fee go? Well, what if I told you it could go all the way to zero? Yep. Fidelity has a fund that charges literally nothing. If you invest $10,000, your annual fee is a big fat zero. This is a complete game changer.
Let's really visualize this. On $10,000, that Fidelity fund costs you nothing. A super cheap Vanguard fund might cost you $3 a year. But look at that other fund, $51 for the same investment. $51 might not sound like a lot, but multiply that by 30 years and it adds up fast. So the key takeaway is, for the same index, cheaper is always better.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? The good news is, it's surprisingly easy. It's basically a three-step plan.
First, you do a little homework. Just decide what part of the market you want to own. Big US companies? Tech stocks? The whole shebang? Second, you compare the funds that track that index, and you laser focus on that expense ratio. And third, you just open a brokerage account online and buy it. That's it.
So, after all that, what's the one big idea you should walk away with from all of this?
It's this. Index funds are so powerful because they give you three amazing things in one simple package. You get the historical growth of the market, you get the safety of diversification, and you get it all for next to nothing. You're not trying to find a needle in a haystack, you're just buying the whole haystack. And that's a strategy that's very hard to beat.
Now look, the goal here wasn't to give you financial advice, it was just to explain the tool. But now you know how it works and why it's so powerful. So the only real question left is, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Thanks for watching.